Firstly, we bought an electric fireplace as everything is built to fit this in. We went for a 3-sided fireplace so it can be seen from all angles. Then before anything you need to consider electrics and aerial cables. As you can see here, we fitted a double socket at TV height and also fitted an aerial socket. After all that sorted, we shopped around to find the best materials to start building the unit. And all we got was CLS wood, some spacers, L brackets and some wood screws. The fireplace did come with some instructions, but to be honest they weren't much use at all. So the first thing that I did was measure the bottom of the fire, as this specific one has to sit within the frame to give the built-in look. So basically this bottom section has to slide into the frame and then it will be supported by this lip here. Then I transferred the measurements to the wood and cut the front and side pieces, as these will act as a ledge for the fire to sit on, and then a replica of that for the bottom piece. Something to be aware of as well, I could easily go 22 and then another 22 for the second piece, but because the blade will take off a percentage of it, you're either better off adding the width of the blade or just cutting the piece and then remeasuring and then cutting a separate piece. Otherwise you'll be left with a 22 and then a 20 possibly. And then you should end up with 2 perfectly cut pieces. So I typically use 2 screws on each piece, and also made sure to drill the hole first with a smaller drill bit, then use a larger drill bit just to countersink this screw. The next part was to decide how high up we want the fireplace. So we've done the top piece now. There's a slight modification which I've done for a reason. I've made the 2 end noggins as long as this end piece here so it can go straight to the wall. And the reason I've done that is so we'll then be able to get down with the plug at the back. So it'll probably be about that height. So this is the first mistake that we made. We basically built the frame so that the fireplace was just sitting a little bit too high. So what we decided to do was shorten it by a few inches, and then that seemed to look a lot better. And then on the bottom portion of the frame I just fitted a few noggins just to strengthen it all up. And that's basically the whole bottom portion of the frame built, apart from the shelf, which I'll add later. So now that was built, I could quickly plaster the whole wall and start from a blank canvas, and then we can move on to fit in the top portion of the frame. The top frame, I'm going for something similar to this. However, I'll have to create an opening for the TV to sit in. So my main concern with this was just to get it as strong as possible, because obviously once it's all plastered I don't want any movement or any cracks. And as you can see here, I'm taking the measurement from the ceiling down to the lip of the fireplace, and that will basically be my main strength of the frame. And then just replicating these pieces as well for the top portion, as they'll have to be the same size. Right, so I got a little bit carried away and forgot to film some bits. I haven't done too much, but what I've basically done is the pieces on the outside, and I've also fixed the fireplace in down here. I've had to put these like noggins in just because there's an electrical cable routed here. I've also gone around and done the 2 side frames, and now the biggest thing that we're struggling with is to decide the opening for the TV. We're thinking a 50-inch TV is probably the maximum, so it might be worthwhile building the hole to fit a 50-inch, and then we can always downsize if we need to. But then you've also got to remember I've got to take into account the MDF thickness. So yeah, it's all sort of running around in my head. I'm just trying to work it all out. I'm also building this top piece, so it's not resting on top of this fire. That was a main thing that it says in the manual, that nothing can rest on top of the fire. So I've made sure that all these bottom pieces are being supported by the 2 vertical pieces, and I've also fixed them into the ceiling as well at the top. I'm going to make some measurements and then I can start fitting the top and bottom pieces for the TV. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, I said I was going to be building a shelf down here. So we measured the skirting board that we want and then tried to find the centre point from that. And this is what we've created so far. So obviously this will need to be plasterboarded and plastered, so it won't be as big. There's a plug socket here that needs to be accessible at all times. So my plan is to board the bottom, obviously, so you've got the shelf, and then just partly board the top. So you can still get your hand in there and use the plug socket as normal. So this is the media wall that we built. Just a couple of things if you don't know. This is, I think, 50-inch TV. Yeah. So we built this all bespoke for what we wanted. It's been in use for a few months now. We've obviously decorated it for Christmas. But yeah, I hope if you're looking to build a media wall yourself that this video helped in some way. I know there's not many out there with the 3-sided fireplace. And now that we've had it done, we wouldn't change anything about it. So I hope that video helped in some way. Please subscribe and follow along for more.